What's up, everybody? This is Jimmy with Trading Decoded. It is June 20th, 2025, 3:35 in the afternoon. The market is still chugging along. Today is triple witching day, or whatever you want to call it. Lots and lots of options expiring today. Futures contracts, all kinds of stuff. Most in history, as a matter of fact. With that said, we tried to treat today just like we do any other day. Contracts were elevated a little bit on the price side, but that's okay. Not out of control. I think they were more expensive Wednesday than they were today. But nonetheless, I'm not going to waste too much of your time because it's Friday and you guys have valuable time and it's the weekend. Let's go. Buy my book. Join my Discord. Let's get into the charts. What were we looking for today? Well, we look for the same things every day. My strategy does not change. It does not change based on what day of the week it is. It doesn't change on my mood. If you follow the rules, it typically works out for your benefit. If you break the rules, doesn't mean you can't win. It just means that the odds are probably not stacked in your favor at that point, which is wildly important if you're trying to gain some kind of consistency in this business. With that said, we had a call line on the Qs at 532.13, and we had our put line at 530.77. We were looking for calls at the open simply because we were putting in higher lows leading into the open. Just pretty standard issue. I did say, as we kind of made it all the way up to these particular lines, I said, guys, I don't really feel comfortable buying calls up here as a breakout. I'd rather see a pullback to support before I would take the calls. As luck would have it, or whatever you want to call it, we did pull back right to the support line. On both charts, I was actually hoping for a little bit more of a pullback to this support right here because it was a very strong level on the Qs. We didn't quite make it down there, but you had to be quick. And all of that's doable if you're prepared before you know what you want to do. Guys, it's super important to know which two of the choices that we have that you want to play, and then you have to determine what you want to see to take advantage of that choice. So if we're moving up, putting higher lows leading into the open, I am looking for a reason to take calls. Okay? What's going to define the entry for those calls? A pullback to support ADD printing green. That's the answer for me. Now, I didn't get into this trade because I couldn't move fast enough. My options trader, or my futures traders, they made a killing today. And if you got in here, you had to wait it out a little bit, but ultimately we ended up getting through this resistance. And I had told everybody, if we can close above that orange dotted line at this point, then I'd feel more comfortable taking the trade going up. Why here and why not at the open? Well, because we've developed higher lows here. We were holding a trend and I felt more comfortable at that point. Again, I didn't take this trade today because ADD at the moment was moving down. Okay, that's not something I like to do. For whatever reason, today I was a bit more patient than I usually am. And it was a good thing because it paid me significantly better to be such. But nonetheless, we did move up. We got through that line of resistance. We weren't really paying attention to the SPY chart because we usually don't. Everything I do most of the time revolves around the Qs. So if the Qs can get through resistance, I'd like to believe that the Qs are going to try and make it up to their next resistance. Now, their next resistance is all the way up at 534.33. So it looked like there was plenty of room. It started to move up, struggled a bit. ADD was not helping, and it really wasn't hurting either. That's when you have to be cautious. Now, when ADD is printing red and SPY or Qs are at resistance, I don't like to wait for candle closes. There's no reason to incentivize holding onto the trade longer if it's struggling to move up, if ADD is starting to print red, if SPY is at a resistance. Use your heads, guys. If you want to stay in the trade, move your stop losses a bit tighter so that if it doesn't continue up and it pulls back on you, you still get to make some money. Okay? This whole thing is about making money, not hitting home runs, not getting rich tomorrow. It's consistently making any money, period. Okay? When you've been consistently making money, then your confidence has been consistently growing, your account has been consistently growing, and then you can start to scale up and chase the money because you know how to. That's the key here. Now, as we peaked out at the top up here, I called out because obviously people want to know when puts, Jimmy, when puts. We have rules for that, guys. Number one, lower highs. Lower highs at this moment doesn't mean jump into puts yet, but it means calls are off the table. Closing below that trend line means calls are off the table. What would I like to see after we break that trend line before I would take my puts? Well, as the same thing that we always do, and this is my favorite trade setup in Paris. We had an hour-long conversation yesterday talking about this exact setup. So the fact that you got to see it happen in real time today was awesome. Lower high, bad for calls. Now we're looking for a reason to take puts. So we took calls off the table. We're switching over to puts. What do we need to see to justify entering those puts? For some folks, it's a close below the trend line. That's not good enough for me. I want to get below support. As we saw here, ADD prior to this trend line close started to already print nice red candles. So momentum was starting to shift to the south, to the downside. Let's wait for a break in structure. Then we want to consider jumping into those puts so long as we have room to move to the next line of support. Very, very simple concept. I got into this trade probably a little bit closer to this line here, but with ADD and momentum moving in my direction at the moment, I'm going to assume I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive on my entry, that we are going to then crack that support and continue down to the next. Plus, we came off of another lower high on top of that, which strengthens my want to take those puts. So I got into this trade at 948. Some people waited for the candle close below that support at 949. I didn't gain a whole lot more on that trade because I got in a hair earlier than somebody else, but I got into a trade I felt really comfortable in, which was good, and that's important. That move went straight down to where we hoped it was going to go, which was to at least first this orange line. It got there, stayed in the trade a little bit longer because I was very much in profit at this point. I was hoping for a little bit more. Wanted to get down to this strong level of support here. We got to it. ADD was still hinting at some red candles here. I said, you know what? I'm going to hang on, but I will not hold through 10 o'clock. So as this candle started chopping down, I even said, as we were coming to 10 o'clock, I said, I'm going to get out of this because I'm very much in profit. I want to say it was a 58.17% return on this trade. If I'm not mistaken, I'd have to pull up my Trade-of-8 to TradeZilla, sorry, to see that. But either way, 58% I think is what the number was. And as we moved down to our put line, it was too close to 10 o'clock. I said, guys, I'm going to get out of this before it starts to go south or north or whatever. I don't want to hold through 10 o'clock because I made a good trade and I made good money. Okay, just under $3,000 today in this move. Very, very comfortable, very, very happy with it. And, well, that was good enough for me. I did say, I do feel like this thing has more room to the downside. Please don't buy any trades simply because I think that, but it feels heavier to me. Again, I am trying to be a good example for the people in my community. I don't ever recommend holding through the 10 o'clock candle, ever. In this case, it would have paid me handsomely to have done so. After I got out of the trade, I suggested that we, especially after struggling to move up, I said, guys, I really think this has got more room to the downside because people wanted to buy calls for some reason. After we were in a clear downtrend, I said, guys, what's the deal with the calls here? Esky, you know who you are specifically. I'm not opposed to playing calls, but at least wait for a higher low or a trend direction change or a break of the downtrend or something. If you've got a call bias during a downtrend, you best wait for something to stop pushing down. Okay, this has nothing to do with having a put bias today. This was just as simple as saying we're continuing to put in lower highs, we're continuing to break support levels. Why are you in a hurry to get into calls? Wait. You had your chance at calls. We called them out here twice. If you didn't take those, then something you saw wasn't good enough for you to take, and that's fine. If you didn't take the puts because you have a call bias, don't force the calls. Wait. Patience. There were opportunities later in the day to take those calls if you were ready. Okay? If you can't see the puts, despite there being clear signs to at least take the risk or entertain the idea of the risk, I can't help that. Okay? I'd rather you not take a trade that you're not comfortable taking than to force one you are uncomfortable taking. Okay? Don't do that. So for me, that was my one and done for the day. Did feel like there was more room to the downside. Would have waited if I was not in the trade and wanted to take another trade. I would have waited. And I said here at the same time, I said, guys, here we are again. We've got it's basically a bear flag on SPY. But I said if we can get through this support on the Qs, 529.75, there's plenty of room to go down, especially if you consider the next real line of support. ADD was already once again front running the move. ADD started printing red before the Qs gave us the sign. Once again, nice move to the downside. We hit support down here, pulled back. Again, one of my favorite trades, just like always. If we're moving up, I want to break support or break the trend line, and I want to take out the most recent support. And as long as there's room to go down to the next support, that's an entry for me. Okay, so once again, the same trade we were looking at up here showed itself right here, and it worked. It worked excellent. We got all the way down to the pink line, through it, turned it into resistance. I called out a lower high again at 1047. I said, guys, this is a lower high. I'd be looking for shorts here. ADD is already doing the Lord's work, printing red before we need it to. You got in here, you rode it down to the next support. Okay? It's like clockwork, guys. And then we started to move up. Higher lows. Bad for puts. When do we want to look for calls? Well, we want to make sure we can get above resistance A or resistance B. Okay? Get through the lines. Get off higher lows. This is a wedge to the upside. Those statistically break up, not down. If ADD's printing green while that's happening, go for it. Esky, I even said to you at this point, hey, this is a higher low and ADD's printing green. Go for it. You didn't do it, but that's okay. You didn't like it, and that's all right. But if you're going to trust the chart, trust the chart. Guys, you got to shit or get off the pot. Don't wait for me to tell you what to do because I'm not allowed to tell you what to do. So I don't. I teach you what to look for so that you can make your own educated trading decisions, which is 100% necessary before you're ever going to be comfortable taking trades. You have to be able to do this on your own without my input. I'll gladly point out good opportunities on a chart based on chart setups. But I'm hoping that you're retaining the information that I'm saying the things I'm saying so you can apply them to your trades. That is the key here. Call-out services do not work. They're useless waste of money for you. Trust me when I tell you. Okay? Understand why you're pushing the buttons. Understand what you're looking for, why you're getting into a trade before it's a trade that you get into. It is possible to do this. I try and show it to you every single day. Okay? With that said, higher lows, this is a wedge that almost always breaks up. No guarantees, but that is what statistics and probabilities tell us. So if we're coming off higher lows and ADD's printing green, let's go. Get through resistance, make it to the next resistance. Excellent. Is ADD still printing green? Sure is. Let's hold to the next resistance. Now, in this case, we were hoping to make it all the way back up to here. If it doesn't, that's okay. When do we get out of this trade? Well, if you put in a lower high or you get back below support, whatever it is that you want to do, just know where you're going to get out if you're going to get out. Okay? But always protect your profits. If you got in when you were supposed to, you were still way in profit over here. Don't hold on for too long, because once you give up too much profits, even if you're still green, frustration sets in, and then you will become a hold and hoper almost always. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But with this lower high, take a look at ADD. Is it red? Sure is. Maybe we should consider that we're going to break this support and head down to this support. Again, called this out wonderfully. Okay? There was another move today. I think it was this one right here. I said, guys, if we can get through this support here, we got at least a 75-cent move to the downside. It gave us way more than that. So again, called it in advance. Not a call out service, but when I see them, I'm going to say them. Okay? Same thing here. Lower high, ADD's printing red. Let's look for a move from support A to support B. Right there. It happened. Everything was good. Nice drop to that support. Kind of struggled to move back up. We were looking for the next support down, which was not far away, and we said it very clear. Look at where these candles all stopped, guys. All of them. Every single one of them stopped here. Well, how do you know whether you should stay in or get out, Jimmy? Well, if ADD is still trying to push us down, I will risk trying to hold on a little longer. As we were moving around over here, if we don't get through that support sooner than later, I have to assume that the buyers aren't ready to give up. You should probably take your money and get out. Okay, in this case, would have been a great opportunity. After that, it was 12 o'clock, and that's when I shut down my day for trading. There were still some moves in the market after that. Now we're basically moving straight sideways. This is not a chart that's going to pay you anything. This is going to take your money at this point. Does the day continue to move from here? There's only 9 minutes left in the market day, guys. If you're going to try and play this late in the day, assume it's going to be the risk or the gamble that it is. Playing the last half of the day is very, very difficult unless you're trading futures. Trading same day option expirations on a day like or any time after 3 o'clock, very, very risky. It's not that the chart doesn't move, but when it moves against you, it hurts infinitely worse than it does in the morning. Okay, so with that, we're going to wrap this up. I hope you found some useful information in this video. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. If you'd like to join my Discord community, I'd love to have you. The link is right down below. First week is completely free. It costs you nothing. Nothing. Okay, if you're interested in learning how to read charts, you don't even have to take my strategy. I promise you, I could teach you things that will strengthen your trading strategy by following support, resistance, and understanding price action. Big deal. Okay. Also, if you'd like to buy my book to learn everything on your own pace and your own time, it's right here. This is what it looks like. You can get it on Amazon. There is an ebook, there's a hard copy or a hardcover, and a paperback version. Pick those up if you're interested. Lastly, hope you all had a great day in the markets today. If not, I'm sorry. If you did, congratulations. If you didn't take any trades today, good for you. You didn't lose any money or make any money, and that's actually pretty good. And I hope you enjoy your weekend. Until Monday, guys. I love you.